I never thought an ordinary kitchen tool could be the source of such terror, but then again, I never imagined my life would take such a dark turn. It was just another rainy night, the kind where the rain sounds like whispers against the window panes. I was alone in my small cluttered apartment, the only light coming from the soft glow of a lamp. I reached for a can of beans, my dinner for the night, and grabbed the old can opener I inherited from my grandmother. It was a simple thing, with a red handle and a blade that seemed too sharp for its age. As I started to crank, something felt off. The usual smooth motion was replaced by a resistance, almost as if the can was fighting back. But I pressed on, and that's when I heard it. A whisper, so faint I thought it was the wind. But the window was closed, and the whisper grew louder, clearer. Help me. I stopped, heart pounding. The room was silent except for the rain. Shaking off the chill, I resumed, and again the whisper, help me, please. This time it was undeniable. I dropped the opener, my hands trembling. The can opener lay there, innocent looking, but I couldn't bring myself to touch it again. Instead, I used a knife to pry open the can, my hands shaking so much that I almost cut myself. Then I looked back at the can opener, and I saw that it had begun to change. The can opener began to shake, and then levitate. It spun in the air, the blade gleaming menacingly. I backed away, but it followed, the whispers now a chorus. Help us, help us. The voices were desperate and filled with pain. I ran to the door, but it wouldn't open. The can opener, now moving with purpose, sliced through the air towards me. I ducked, and it embedded itself into the wall. I yanked it out, my hand still trembling, and threw it across the room. But it kept coming back, each time closer, each time the voices louder and more desperate. Help us, free us. I realized with horror that the can opener wasn't just a tool, it was a prison for something, or someone. In a moment of clarity, or perhaps madness, I grabbed it, whispering back, I'll help you, just tell me how. The can opener stopped, hovering in front of me. The voices merged into one, open the last can. At first I didn't understand, but then I found another can, an old rusty one I hadn't noticed before. With still trembling hands, I used the can opener. As I cranked, the resistance was immense, but I pushed through. The can opened with a hiss, and a dark mist poured out, filling the room. The whispers ceased, and the can opener fell to the ground, lifeless. The mist enveloped me, and for a moment I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and relief. But then, the mist began to solidify, forming figures, ghosts, trapped for who knows how long. They spoke in unison, "Thank you, but now you must take our place." Before I could react, the mist surged into me, filling me with a cold, unbearable pain. When I woke, it was morning, and everything was back in place. The can opener was on the counter, looking as ordinary as ever. But I knew better. I was no longer alone in my body. Every night, as I try to sleep, I hear the whispers and feel their presence. And every night, I wonder when the can opener will call out to another soul, to free me, or to trap someone else in this endless cycle of terror. Back when I took this CAD class, one of our assignments was to design an everyday object, and I chose a can opener. It seemed simple enough, mundane even, but that's where the ordinary ended. I designed it with an ergonomic handle, a sleek shiny blade, and a gear mechanism that would glide through metal like it was butter. I was proud of my creation, rendered in high detail on my computer screen. But as the project progressed, things started to feel off. The first incident was during a late-night design session. I was alone in my room, the only light coming from my monitor. As I tweaked the dimensions, the can opener on the screen seemed to twitch. I blamed it on my tired eyes, but then, the virtual model rotated on its own, facing me directly. The handle, which I had designed to be smooth, now had indents, like fingerprints. I dismissed it as a glitch, saved my work, and went to bed. But sleep brought no comfort. That night, I dreamt of the can opener. It wasn't in a kitchen, but in an endless void, opening cans that screamed as they were pierced. They also didn't release food, but instead darkness, thick and sentient, which whispered my name. The next day, I laughed off the dream, attributing it to stress. But when I opened my project file, the can opener had changed. It was now covered in rust, the blade jagged, as if it had aged centuries overnight. I was unnerved, but decided to print it in 3D to shake off the eerie feeling with something tangible. When the 3D printer finished, what lay in the tray was not my design. It was the rusted, ancient version from my screen. I touched it, and it felt cold, unnaturally so, and there was a vibration, a hum, like it was alive or connected to something. Curiosity mixed with fear, I took it to the kitchen, my hands trembling. I chose a can, not knowing what to expect, and as I clamped it on, the can opener seemed eager, the gears turning with a will of their own. The can opened, but what poured out wasn't soup or beans. It was a stream of dark, whispering shadows, forming into figures that flickered around my kitchen, whispering secrets of the void, of places where light never reaches. Each can I opened with it released more of these entities. They didn't harm me, and they didn't touch me, but their presence was an assault on my sanity. They spoke of worlds where beings like them thrived on the fears of the living, and how my can opener was now a key to their realm. At that point, I tried everything to destroy it, but every attempt failed. Throwing it away only meant finding it back on my desk, looking even more menacing. Eventually, I locked the can opener away in a box, buried in deep in my closet, wrapped in chains and seals, hoping to contain whatever I had unwittingly unleashed. But even now, I hear the whispers at night, and sometimes in the silence, I hear them between my thoughts, too. I can still feel the cold, metallic touch of the can opener, reminding me that some doors, once opened, can never be truly closed. One day in 8th grade English class, we had to write poems about everyday objects in iambic pentameter, or whatever it's called. I chose to write about a can opener. Why, I don't even know. Maybe it was the simplicity of its form, or the mystery of what lay hidden in cans, waiting to be unleashed. Little did I know, that choice would haunt my nights for years to come. The poem itself was forgettable, a lame 8th grader's attempt at artistry, but the can opener, that mundane tool, it stuck with me. That night, I dreamt of it. In the dream, the can opener wasn't just lying on the kitchen counter. It was alive, moving with a purpose. Its sharp wheel was glinting under the moonlight. It didn't speak, but I could feel its desire to open, to reveal, and to expose. Weeks passed, and the dream recurred, growing more vivid. The can opener would creep closer to me each night, its metallic body clinking softly against the floor. I began to see it in the waking world too, or so I thought. A flash of it in the corner of my eye, the sound of its mechanism when no one was in the kitchen, but whenever I looked directly, it was just an ordinary tool. High school came, and with it, my obsession deepened. I started collecting can openers, each one different, hoping to appease whatever spirit seemed bound to them. My room was filled with them, from antique to electric, yet peace eluded me. They all seemed to whisper in the dead of night, a chorus of metal wanting to cut through more than just tin. One evening, as I was studying, the room grew cold and the lights flickered. There, in the dimness, all the can openers I'd collected began to move on their own. They didn't come towards me. Instead, they started opening things in my room. Books, my backpack, even the air itself seemed to split open, revealing darkness beyond, a void that felt like it could swallow everything. I realized then, it wasn't about the can openers themselves, but what they represented, the act of opening. Maybe even the act of revealing what's hidden. They were gateways, or perhaps guardians of gateways, to places unknown and to secrets better left sealed. The scariest night was when one can opener, the original from my kitchen, approached my desk. It didn't attack and didn't harm me, but it opened my diary. Words began to spill out, not ink, but whispers of my deepest fears, secrets I'd never even written down. The can opener was not just opening physical objects, but was prying into my soul. From that night on, I understood. The can opener was a symbol, a reminder of the thin veil between the known and the unknown, between safety and exposure. I disposed of all but one opener, keeping it as a memento of that lesson. Years have passed, and now, when I use that can opener, I do so with respect and a touch of fear. It sits quietly in my kitchen drawer, but sometimes, in the still of the night, I hear the faint sound of metal against metal, a reminder that some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed again. Ever since Tesla announced their Cyber can opener, I was intrigued and really wanted to get one. It wasn't just the sleek design or the promise of unparalleled efficiency, there was something almost magnetic about it. My old can opener had long since given up the ghost, leaving me with a drawer full of unopened cans, so the timing was perfect. I ordered it online, and the wait was agonizing. When it finally arrived, the box was surprisingly heavy. Unboxing it felt like a real ritual. The Cyber can opener was cold to the touch, its edges sharp and its body a matte black that seemed to absorb the light around it. The first time I used it, the can opener hummed to life with a sound that was too alive for a mere kitchen appliance. It opened the can with a precision that was almost surgical. But that's when things started to feel off. That night, I heard a soft whirring from the kitchen. At first I dismissed it as a fridge or perhaps the house settling. But the next night, the sound was there again, this time accompanied by a faint clicking, like metal on metal. Curiosity mixed with a tinge of unease led me to investigate. The kitchen was dark, save for the moonlight streaming through the window. There, on the counter, the Cyber can opener was moving on its own, its blade spinning slowly as if it was searching. I blinked, thinking my eyes were deceiving me, but no, it was real. It stopped when it noticed me, the whirring dying down to a silence that felt like it was watching me back. I decided to lock it away in a cabinet, thinking maybe it was some sort of malfunction or a prank feature I hadn't heard about. But the next morning, it was back on the counter, with no sign of forced entry on the cabinet. Days turned into weeks, and the can opener's behavior grew more unsettling. Cans started appearing opened in the morning, their contents neatly removed, though I lived alone. I began to find little notes, written in what looked like the juice from the cans, saying things like, "need more," or "hungry." One evening, as I sat reading, the lights flickered. The familiar whir started, but this time it was closer, right behind my chair. I turned slowly, and there it was, hovering at eye level, its blade glinting with an intent I couldn't understand. It didn't attack, and didn't move closer, but its presence was an unspoken threat and a silent demand. That's when I realized that this wasn't just a can opener. It was something that had awakened, something with a need, perhaps even a consciousness, born from the intersection of cutting-edge technology and my own desire for convenience. I tried to get rid of it, to throw it away, but every time it returned, each time more insistent and more present. I considered destroying it, but something in its mechanical purr stopped me, a mix of fear and an odd sense of responsibility. Now I live with it, and it even has its own place at the table. We managed to come to an understanding, of sorts. It opens cans for me, and in return, I provide it with what it seems to crave, purpose. But late at night, when I hear that soft whirring, I can't help but wonder what it would do if I ever decided that I, too, was just another can to be opened.